Do I sound like a psychopath to say that a slasher was entertaining? I hope not. Hello people of the internet, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah and I'm so excited that you joined me today. If you hear noises in the background, that is probably just my dogs because they love to just annoy each other. So just ignore that. So today we're going to be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of October. October was kind of a weird month for me. I started out with a reading slump, a pretty big one actually, and it lasted until about halfway through October. So I listened to a lot of audiobooks and I read a lot of graphic novels in the month of October. I actually participated in Bookathon, which is a spooky middle grade readathon. I already uploaded my vlog for that, so if you haven't watched that, go do that. A lot of these books are in that vlog, so I kind of stuck with the easier books to read this month because I just was not feeling it. I'm kind of overwhelmed at the moment in my personal life, so reading kind of took a back burner. But that being said, I did end up reading about 10 books this month, which again, I did not read full on 10 novels. I read 10 books of different formats. So let's go ahead and get started. The first book that I picked up in the month of October was the graphic novel Ghosts by Raina Telgemeier. Now, I've actually read graphic novels by this author before, but this one is by far my favorite. This one is following our main characters, Katrina and Maya is actually sick with cystic fibrosis. And I've said it before, but I think that representation in middle grade is just absolutely so awesome. And basically their family is moving because of her illness to North Carolina. When they get to their small town in North Carolina, they start to hear rumors about some ghosts that inhabit this town, and it turns into, it's not really a scary story, it's a story based around the holiday Dia los Muertos, the Mexican holiday that happens on November 1st. And if you don't know what that is, I would highly recommend that you do your research on it because it is such a fun holiday. I would highly recommend this one. Again, I think the representation in this one is just absolutely awesome, and it will actually teach you a lot about the holiday. I think it's pretty incredible. So 5 out of 5 for me. At this point, I was still really deep into my slump, so I ended up picking up an audiobook that I was so anticipated in reading, and that is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. This book, oh my goodness. If you have heard all the raves and the praises about this book, it absolutely deserves it. Oh my gosh. This book is incredible, and I, like a lot of you, probably grew up watching Jennette McCurdy in different things like iCarly, Sam and Cat, just different things that she did on Nickelodeon. And going from watching her in this funny character that is just so silly all the time to hearing this format and this side of her story was absolutely jarring, and it's very heavy. But I am just so glad that I read it. I know this was extremely difficult for her to do and extremely difficult for her to write, and I just think that she captures her point of view as this innocent child going through all of this absolutely perfect. So this is a memoir of Jennette McCurdy's life, mostly about her experiences with an abusive mother. Again, she really captures that point of view of a young child going through all this and not knowing that her mom was so abusive and just thinking that her mom cared about her and just wanted the best for her. But us as the reader, we are watching that point of view of that little girl unfold, and it's kind of like, oh, that's not normal, that's not okay. And it's just such an experience. It's very heavy. There is a lot of trigger warnings in this book, so please be aware of that. It talks a lot about eating disorders in here. Jennette had a lot of trouble with that, and she describes it very thoroughly, so please know that going in. And it's a very heavy read. It's definitely not something to just pick up on a whim. Just know that going in. But again, and if you know and love Jeanette McCurdy, I would definitely recommend this one. At this point in October, I was participating in Bookathon, which was the spooky middle grade readathon that I uploaded a vlog for not too long ago. And these books that I'm going to mention are in that vlog, so I'm not going to spend too much time on these guys because I went into depth in that vlog. So the first book that I read for that readathon was Small Spaces by Katherine Arden. In this book in particular, we are following our main character, Ollie, and Ollie is going on a class field trip to her local farm, and things don't turn out well. Let's just say I'll never look at a scarecrow again the same. This book made me feel things much more than just fear. This book did freak me out just a little bit for it being a middle grade, and it did scare me. Props to Katherine Arden, she definitely freaked me out, but she also made me feel a lot of different emotions. For example, Ollie has just lost her mom, and so she's kind of going through that grieving process, and I just thought that, again, that representation in middle grade was fantastic. This one was another 5-star for me. The next book that I read for that readathon was Anya's Ghost by Vera Broskell, and this is a YA graphic novel. I was under the impression that it was a middle grade, and man was I shocked when I opened this up. This is a YA coming of age story about Anya, and one day Anya is just walking, minding her own business, and she falls down a hole. And in that hole she finds a ghost of a murdered girl, or so she says. I did not like this one. I ended up giving it 2 stars. And again, I went on and on and on in that vlog, so if you haven't watched that, please go there for my full thoughts. But I just thought that Anya was a terrible character. I did not like her. Again, this is a coming of age story, so of course you're not going to like the character in the beginning, but I didn't like her throughout the whole thing at all, even at the end, because I just thought that she did so many things that were not reprimanded. She's a high schooler and sneaks out and goes and smokes cigarettes. Like, I'm not in denial that that doesn't happen, but don't put it in there. Like, and that is not the only thing I had an issue with. I also had an issue with the fact that she was a huge bully. She treated this one little guy in here that I just love so much and I just want to cherish him forever. She treated him so badly. And I'm like, what? Vera Broskell, like, this is not okay. Like, this is gonna go in high schools and middle schools? No thanks, I'm good. I don't know, maybe that's just the educator in me. That's kind of like, don't like this one. But yes, 2 stars. The next book that I read for that readathon is Ghost Beach by R.L. Stine, and this is my first ever Goosebumps book, and oh my gosh, again, I went on and on about this one in that vlog as well, but this one freaked me out. Oh my gosh. R.L. Stine, you have no business freaking me out like that. But this one is about our brother-sister duo, Jerry and Terry, which I just love those names because I am also a fraternal twin, and that just makes me wish that our names were Jerry and Terry. Anyway, so this one is about Jerry and Terry as they go and visit their elderly cousins who live on this kind of remote island, and discover that there is a ghostly figure living on their beach. I'll leave it at that. It is so good. R.L. Stine just has a way of descriptions that just completely just give you goosebumps. Hence the name, I guess. The next book that I read was The Haunting of Avalon Jones by Phil Hicks. And this was the last book that I read in the Bookathon, readathon, and this was the group buddy read. I feel like I also had an unpopular opinion about this one. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was fine. I didn't mind it. I did talk about the pacing in my vlog. That was the main kicker for me. I did not like how this one paced out. I feel like a lot of the times we were just talking about things that were happening and not really doing anything. So basically, this one is following our main character, Aveline Jones, and Aveline is visiting her aunt. And in the town which her aunt lives, there's this old bookshop. And so obviously Aveline loves books, so she goes in there and buys a book for $1. And she opens up the book and it belongs to this girl named Primrose. And so she starts kind of looking up this Primrose girl and kind of trying to figure out what's going on with her. And she finds out that Primrose actually has gone missing. And thus one thing leads to another, and she stumbles upon this town legend of, I think her name is the Lake Lady, something like that. Basically, it was a tale about a woman who lost 2 daughters in the water, and every year about this time at Halloween, she comes and retrieves a new victim to replace the daughter she lost. Again, it was very exciting. I really liked the plot, but just the pacing was off, and it was just okay. The next book that I read in the month of October was Beaches, Bungalows, and Burglaries. I had to look at the name because I always get it mixed up. But this is the first book in the Camper and Criminal series by Tanya Capes. And if you're going to pick this series up, it's a really wide series. So if you're going to pick this series up, I would highly recommend you do it audibly. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Any cozy mystery I feel like is way better audibly, but that's just my opinion. Like I said, this is a cozy mystery and it's following our main character, Mae West, and Mae West has gone through it. She's gone through it. Her husband has just been convicted of a Ponzi scheme and has schemed a lot of people out of a lot of money, and she is left to kind of fix it. So Mae West is used to living this life of luxury, and after her husband is convicted, obviously she loses all of that. The only thing that she is left with is her name in an RV and an ownership of an RV park. I mean, that's just so cute. I just love that so much. And a lot of these residents at this RV park are actually victims of her husband's Ponzi scheme. So, of course, Mae West has to take her RV and go to this RV park and kind of help them and kind of fix what her husband has done. And while she's there, of course, it's a cozy, so a murder has to take place. It's great. I thought it was fantastic. Again, if you're going to pick it up audibly. I gave it 5 stars. So I actually bought a Kindle Unlimited subscription and I read on my Kindle a lot. This is the Kindle Paperwhite and I absolutely love it so much. And the next 3 books I read on here. The first book I read on my Kindle was Tastes Like Candy by Ivy Tholen. This is a classic slasher, and honestly this is my first horror slasher. I've read Final Girls by Riley Sager, which is technically a slasher, but I mean I definitely wouldn't put it in the same category as this one. This one is following our main character, Violet, and her high school friends as they get ready to graduate from high school and go into college. But as a kind of a last thing for high school, they participate in something called a senior scavenge. Usually the scavenge is at the school, but this year they decided to change it up and have it at a local abandoned carnival. So they get there and they have their little lists and they're going about their business, and all of a sudden somebody shows up in this really creepy mask with a, yeah, it's a really creepy mask. Just trust me on that. And starts slashing them one by one. When I say October was a weird month for me, I don't read horror. I definitely don't read extreme horror. I delved into it, but not like this heavy, because holy cow, this like rocked my world. It was extremely graphic, and yeah, it definitely wasn't in my thriller realm where we just hear of them getting killed and then move on. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But it was entertaining. Do I sound like a psychopath to say that a slasher was entertaining? I hope not. I don't know. I found it entertaining. I thought that the story within the slashing, like as far as like their relationships with the girls and the friendships and the different dynamics that was going on with them, I thought that that was super entertaining as well, and trying to find out who the killer was intense. I went back and forth so many times, and this is a good one. So if you like to read slashers, again, they're not really my cup of tea, but in October I was feeling kind of like festive, so if you like slashers and if you like horror and extremely graphic things, go ahead and pick this one up. Please don't make fun of me, because I literally just got over saying, hey, slashers are not my thing, but I'm here going to pick up Camp Slaughter by Sergio Gomez. I was feeling festive in the spooky mood, and these are free on Kindle Unlimited, so I couldn't just like let them sit there and not read them. Honestly, Tastes Like Candy had nothing on this one. Oh my gosh, this one threw me for a loop. Like, Tastes Like Candy was like dipping my toes in the horror genre. This one, honey, 3 words describe this one: slasher, cannibalism, face mask. That's it. And I also read this one like right after I had this stomach bug, so those two don't mix. I don't know if you know that, but they don't go together. So if you're gonna read this one, just make sure you have a really strong stomach, because you'll need it. The last book that I read in the month of October was The Visitor by Sergio Gomez as well. So honestly, I picked this one up on a whim, because after I finished Camp Slaughter, I really liked Sergio Gomez's writing. I thought he wrote in a way that wasn't like super fluffy, and it was just very descriptive and to the point and fast. And I personally like that kind of writing. I wanted to pick up another one of his works, and if you're going to do that, do not start with this one. Just skip this one altogether. I did not like this one. I actually gave it a 1 star because I just thought it was not it. So before I tell you what this one is about, I do need to mention that this is a novella, so it was very short. I think it was like 80 or 90 pages, and so I read it in like an hour. So that was the main reason I picked it up, because I wanted just to see another one of Sergio Gomez's writing. So we're following an array of characters, and again, I don't remember their names because I didn't get super attached to them. But basically it's a no exit kind of vibe. We're stuck in the snow. We're stuck at this roadside diner, and everybody doesn't know each other and doesn't trust each other, and then all of a sudden somebody gets murdered. And this is not your classic murder. This is not your classic thriller, horror, whatever. Let me just say this. It involves aliens. And I really think that's all you need to know. And if I tell you what it's got in it, I feel like that's just like, you might as well not read the book. I don't recommend that you read the book. I didn't think it was like intense or anything. I just thought it was bad. I didn't like it. There is a set audience for a book like this, and I'm not in it. Nope, I did not like it. 1 star. And there you have it, my friends. That is all the books that I read in the month of October. I'm so sorry that I had such a sporadic reading month. It was kind of all over the place. I read graphic novels, audiobooks, middle grade, extreme horror. So it did not, it was all over the place. It definitely was not my average reading month. So if you liked this video and if you made it this far into the video, leave me cotton candy emoji. There's not a cotton candy emoji, so leave me the lollipop emoji for Tastes Like Candy, because that was my first delve into the horror genre. We'll see if we stay. Okay, if you liked this video, please go ahead and like it. If you like me and want to stick around, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you on my future videos. Bye!